Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy E Buck, your favorite co-host, and y'all know what time it is. It's time for that show that we call the Sports Guru Sports Session, where we talk that sports with y'all, as we love to do here on the Nighthawk Network. You know our slogan, Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people. And of course, we cannot have the Sports Guru Sports Spectrum without the man we call the Sports Guru himself. That would be the one and only Hugh Lee. What's going on, Hugh?
What's going on, E man? I thought we decided on the Guru Sports Session, so it won't sound so complicated.
I do believe what I said was that. Maybe I'm getting old,
The
but I thought that's what I said. Sports Guru Sports Session. Did I not say that?
Guru Sports Session.
Okay, well, all right. No, I didn't say that.
Mhm.
Well, that's something we can talk about 2025. You see my background here, it's like that for a reason, because basically it's reflecting what our mood is. It's vacation time. Not per se as in actually going on one. That would be nice.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
in after this show, we going on one at least for a couple weeks. Why? Because of course it's that time of year. It's the holiday season. Next Wednesday, of course, will be Christmas, and I love y'all, but I'm not doing no show on Christmas. And of course, the following week be New Year's Day. Same thing. I love y'all, but I'm not doing no show on New Year's Day. Nor is y'all gonna take the time to watch it. Y'all gonna be celebrating with your family, and
Pretty
that's what
much.
we're doing anyway. But in the meantime, y'all can hook up and hang out with us. Let's do that, shall we? And we're gonna talk sports. Now, we had it set up a certain way. It ain't go that way. I don't know if that's my fault or that's the guru's fault or that's just how I went today. But he got what we're talking about, and we're just gonna talk about it a little bit different. You'll notice as we go along. So that being said, Guru, it's on you, man. What we got?
Man, Caitlin Clark, man, player, athlete of the year. How did you feel about that? Because I know what she was saying once she got the award. She basically was like, "Yeah, I think she appreciated it, but then she took a back burner to the award, saying, "Yeah, I know that it's a lot of privilege, and she gave respect to the people before her who made and paved the way for her." But I think she definitely should be happy about that, man. Being an athlete of the year, that's a huge accomplishment.
I don't think that she was unhappy about it. I just thought that she used it as an opportunity to give thanks to people that did not get enough thanks in the past. You know, a lot of people feel like it's her privilege that led her to be to the height she was
Pretty
and
much.
not her actual talent. Keep in mind, just like there's many black women's basketball players, there's many white women's basketball players, but don't many of them play like Caitlin Clark. So, she is the athlete of the year because she was the most talked about, most respected athlete of the year without question. She earned the honor, period. And she actually just, instead of putting the focus on herself, she put the focus on her sport and her profession and the people that paved the way in her profession. And not only was that a smart move, I think it showed a bit of humility on her part. And I really appreciate her for doing that.
It was a good thing that she actually won it. A lot of people when it came to college, she was one of the main people who impacted college sports. Her and Angel Reese. And then it went over to the WNBA. A lot of people were looking for them, and it wasn't just Caitlin Clark. They was looking for both games and some of the women who paved the way in college, and they elevated their games in, the WNBA. But yeah, man, I feel like in this case, we only would have imagined what would have happened if Angel Reese stayed healthy. But Indiana Fever was one of the worst teams, if not the worst team, and she took them to the playoffs. So yeah, man, in her rookie season. So I definitely give her credit where credit is due on that, and it was well deserved. I feel like for what she did and what she's contributed to the sport.
I do agree. So yeah, like I said, not only do I have no problem with it, if I had a vote, I would have voted for her as well.
Asia Wilson, man, the new multi-million-dollar Nike contract deal, man. I didn't know that when she was in the talks of it, she was already in talks with it like last year, and it basically came up to be something big. It's a multi-year, if I'm not mistaken, like a $28 million contract.
Hey, again, well deserved. Like it or not, she is the best player in the WNBA right now, without question.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark will tell you that, and Reese will tell you that. Pretty much anybody else in the WNBA we're talking about will tell you the same. So, of course, Nike starting to understand the importance of its role in advertisement and helping to build the brand of the WNBA. They, of course, went to its best player and said, look, we got to look out for you because you are the face of the league. So, definitely glad it did that. I mean, obviously, wish it could have been more. Hopefully, somewhere down the line, it will be more. But yeah, definitely again, well deserved. And shout out to Nike for doing that. And also got to give a shout out to Adidas for also recognizing people such as Kate, not Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese and giving her a substantial contract as well.
Was it Adidas or Reebok?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's one of them two. I want to say it's Reebok actually. But yeah, Adidas has made deals with some of the WNBA ladies as well.
Yeah, man. We've talked about this, and I know that a lot of people were not surprised, but I did kind of feel a little bad for Ashton Genting this weekend. But what I'm talking about is on Saturday, it was, of course, the Heisman candidates, and we were trying to see who's going to be the winner. And of course, our winner in the new Heisman Trophy person is my man Travis Hunter, and he represented the Heisman Trophy. And I feel like he did a good job on both sides. Like I said, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and at the same time, he mainly played both ends of the ball. It wasn't really no time off for him. And we've seen people do it before, but at that level, I don't think it was really at that level. Because he intensified things when he did that, and I just felt like I was happy for him. But what made me feel bad, a little bit bad for Aston Genting, is because a lot of the accolades that he made and accomplished, they was like nobody did these before besides Marcus Allen in 1981, and then 1988 with Barry Sanders, and then you know. I'm thinking, okay, well, that might lead to something, but I said, I'm not really sure, man. I still feel like he might not win it this year exactly. And sure enough, Travis Hunter got the award, and it was well deserved, in my opinion.
I think the person that should have won the Heisman did win the Heisman. That is Travis Hunter. I need you to understand something. Yes, Genty had an absolutely astonishing year. But do remember, Hugh, that every year is like that with the Heisman, at least every other year, where
Yeah,
somebody who is deserving of winning the Heisman does not. That is why we have all the other awards that are available, like the Doak Walker Award, which, of course, Genty did win for being the best running back in the nation, and some of the others. The fact that we have the All American list where you get your accolades there as well. Um, it's just that way. Like I said, remember the last person to basically play both sides of the ball and win the Heisman. That particular year, of course, that would be the great Charles Woodson. Of course, as you know, several people were not happy with that decision because that was also the year that Peyton Manning had some very good numbers,
yeah,
record breaking numbers, in fact. But yet, people chose Woodson because, again, it is not just the difficulty of it in and of itself. When you play both sides of the football, every game,
that's
pretty
impressive.
much every play, we talking about somebody that even goes in on special teams and plays on the special teams. In this day and age of football, that's unheard of. Okay,
Yeah,
think about the type of energy it takes just to pull that off.
yeah,
And he not just doing that in games, he doing it in practice as well. So even though, yeah, he is a very young man at 21, but just to put forth that type of energy, one, to do it, got to get recognized. And then not only do it, but do it on a very, very, very good level.
yeah.
To where right now you could argue he could be a number one, he would be a first round draft pick as a wide receiver or as a defensive back. And
I
I
can,
will say that he is committed to doing both. And I say if you are a team looking to pick him, you should be looking to pick him to do both. And you should allow him to do both.
I would pick and choose sometimes, but I would mainly want to have him. It depends on the need, like you said. It really depends on the team need, but it'll be still cool to have him do what he do. I don't think that you should just say, no, don't do it. No, if you need a cornerback, I would still have him come in and do some reps at wide receiver too, man, or vice versa.
Hey, if the great Deion Sanders could do it, he could do it. Charles Woodson could have did it. He just chose not to do it. There is the contrast. I mean, we didn't see other players, do both ways. The Jabril Preppers of the world and people of that ilk.
He man, yesterday kind of surprised me because when we was kicking in and when I was telling you about this, I was saying, "Hey man, Michael Vick about to sign with Sacramento State." No, he didn't, man. That
He did
brother
not.
ended up signing with Norfolk State, which caught me off guard because I thought for sure because they was already putting a rumor out there saying that he signed with Sacramento State, but that wasn't the truth at all until I looked up yesterday and seen he actually left without a contract, and that's when he went to Norfolk State.
And keep in mind, those were just two schools. There were a few other schools that had been rumored that wanted to speak to him too once they knew he was available and it was something he was interested in. So, again, I like it for multiple reasons. Let's get into it briefly here as I put the banner. Hold on. As I've lost the banner. There we go. All right, look. First of all, Norfolk State is the lucky winner for a very obvious reason. That's where Michael Vick grew up. He grew up in that area, very close to that school. Um, they view the legacy of Michael Vick different than some of us may view it. Understand, for some people, Michael Vick's legacy is tainted by the whole dog fighting incident, unfortunately. And then when you actually look into the particulars of the case, most of that just comes from the fact that he was the wrong person in charge at the wrong time and did one of the wrong things in the process. Okay. He has done his time, his community service, and all that. He has not been in any other trouble since then. He has not only been a pillar of the community, but he has done things in terms of charitable works and things of that nature. So if we can forgive the person that's about to be in charge of the country for some of the atrocities he has committed, we most certainly can let Michael Vick live his best life. That being said, I don't think they're gonna hold any of that against him at Norfolk State because, like I said, he home, it's family, and again, the thing I like about it is the fact that if I remember right, Sacramento State is a public school. Norfolk State is a HBCU. And I definitely like anybody that's looking to bring something to that space. Because, like I said, there were other offers out there for Michael Vick. I imagine even bigger schools. But because that was part of his thought process, according to him, that is why I am happy he is going with that as his choice. And I wish him nothing but the best of success and all that good stuff. Go ahead, Hugh.
Definitely happy for Vic, man, like you said, because he went through so much, man, and he had to change his whole appearance and change everything about him, his whole image almost. He had to actually be a totally different person to really get back into where he is, and I still don't really feel like we can give him the credit that he deserved. And I just feel like he did a good job of, rejuvenating his career for one after going through everything he went through, and then to be able to be in this situation of where he'll be a head coach for Norfolk State. And it's crazy too, man, because I seen a post on the phone and somebody was saying, who would imagine it right now in college football that we have the goat of coaching and Coach Bill Belichick, you have Coach Prime, Eddie George and Michael Vick at the same time, man. That's actually pretty cool, man.
I agree. I agree. So yeah, like I said, I think what we're looking at is a trend, one that's going to continue. You got the people like Deion Sanders, you got Michael Vick, you got Coach Belichick in place. I think we'll see several others go that route as well.
Hey, man, we talked about this a little bit, man, and this got ugly, man. You already know where I'm about to go with this, man. Marshall head coach Charles Huff fired from Marshall, and the whole football team said, "Man, that's it, bro." And they all decided to go into the portal, and it was like it's nobody on Marshall, man. It was so bad that they had to even cancel. Well, they didn't cancel the bowl game. They had to find a different team to take their place because they knew the Marshall Herd wasn't going to play.
That, my friend, is so nuts that it supposedly went down that way. Where what we're looking at is basically what I'm about to put here.
Because when you told me the situation, I knew he got fired, but then I didn't know the aftermath of what you told me. Like they didn't even let him even say his part or even talk to the team.
I mean, like I said, I think part of it was how it was done more so that
Yeah,
it was done. The fact that the powers that be decided not to bring him back for whatever reason. And usually when they do that, there's a way that all this usually trickles down the pipe. Usually the person that is the athletic director at that school has some talks with some of the senior leadership or some of the other coaches on the staff and let them know that this is at least being thought about or that they're going to make this decision. And then, of course, they talk to the coach about it, and then they usually let him address the students as to his thought process or what the thought process was in them leaving or what have you. Apparently, none of that went on this time around, and as the players on the team learned the way they learned and what it was all about, they decided pretty much as a group for the most part, we don't like this, and we don't like this to the point where we ain't trying to be here no more. We up out. Now, digging a little further into the story, it don't appear like the entire team is actually hitting the portal, but there's enough players on the team to where, yeah, it's a definite story. Let's just say it's not 100%. It's more like 85 or 90. But that's still like 80 or 90
there's a
students.
lot, man, for the
I
team.
mean, think about it. A few years ago, Colorado basically got rid of damn near all its players. Of course, that was a little different situation. But for a whole team to basically say, Smurf, y'all, we out.
That's
And
huge.
and this day in NIL and transfer portal, don't look for this to be the first time or last time that this happened.
We're gonna see more crazy stories like this evolve,
I
man.
agree.
Definitely, if you don't like the way the coach been fired or how he was mistreated or how they mishandled the situation, man, you have a choice now that you can sit there and you could just go through it like you could back in the day. But then now with the NIL and the transfer portal and all, man, you can actually say, okay, man, I'd rather show them than tell them what I'll do. And yeah, that was kind of crazy to see. But then I actually like the fact how loyal the team was to him too, man. I want to see how many of those kids go to Southern Mississippi too, man. I'm pretty interested in that.
Because apparently that's where the new spot for the coach will be. I'm gonna safely assume he'll at least get 10 to 20 down there. I
And
mean,
that's a
it's something
lot
about
too.
playing in those warmer climates that makes it easier to attract your people to begin with. Not to mention with that being a conference that's a little different than the MEAC. Why not? Why
Yeah, I'm
not?
definitely interested in seeing how that go, man. Yeah, it was a real crazy situation, like you said. I want to. It's gonna probably happen some more, and as the years go. But yeah, it was crazy that whole thing, man. I think if maybe if they handled it different, man, it would have been something else that would have happened. Like some people probably would have decided to stay, like if they gave him the chance to at least speak his voice or what have you. But yeah, man, I was still kind of confused with everything and how they mistreated or how they mishandled that situation. And I feel like that's why the kids felt the same way.
Hey, that's all I got on that.
Man, I want to talk about one of the games that we was talking about too recently, man. It was a huge game for the women in college, man. I want to brush up on the UConn Lady Huskies and Notre Dame.
Again, got to point out to you guys that was definitely one of the best games of the season, as far as I was concerned, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what was your overall thoughts about it, Hugh?
My overall thoughts was, yeah, man, I still feel like it was early in the season. You know me, man. I don't get too carried away, when it's that early in the season. But I do want to tell you, I did like the fact that, regardless, it seemed like the game got close. I remember when the game started to get carried away in the first half, and that was when Hannah Hidalgo hit those back-to-back threes. Then Kaval was getting off, and she was getting her shots, and I felt like the whole team around her was doing good. I felt like Connecticut made adjustments in the second half, and they were pulling in within like 4 to 6 points. And every time they did, it seemed like the equalizer was Hannah Hidalgo, man, who would definitely help them go on the run, and that's how they ended up pulling out the game. But like I said, it's still real early, because after what I seen with UConn yesterday, because I thought that they were going to pretty much take it out on their next opponent, no matter who it was. And then when I seen Iowa State, I said, yeah, they're going to whoop on Iowa State. And that's the way it looked, man. And I still feel like if they continue to play like that and all people join in and play the way they did with Sarah Strong and, some of the young guard play, I definitely feel like UConn's still going to be one of them teams that be reckoned with once it still come to the Final Four. So I'm not really too high on it. Yeah, they lost their first game, but I mean, who's not going? I don't see no undefeated teams this year. Remember, we were talking about that. I don't see that happening.
I've definitely said that. I definitely will keep that as chalk. Definitely got to shout out not only the coaching staff of Notre Dame Women Fighting Irish, which includes, of course, Coach Ivy. Shout out to her, but also to the players on that team that executed a great game plan against the UConn team. Um, they did things to frustrate Paige Beckers, and at times it worked, at times not so much.
Mhm.
But they learned the key to beating UConn, and I think that's the key for beating most teams this year. If you shut down the top one or two players on that squad and basically let the rest of them try to do their best to make up the difference, most teams can't sustain that. Notre Dame is one of the few teams that can because they basically play a style of offense where multiple people bring up the ball. They have multiple shooters on the court.
Mhm.
They can play from the outside, but they do have good inside play. And they definitely play 7 or 8, sometimes 10 or 12, depending on the situation, and they basically came better prepared. It's a rare occasion where you see the great Gino Oriema get out coached, but he definitely got out coached in that game. And again, Hannah Hidalgo, her fingerprints was all over that game. She definitely showed why in a couple years it may not necessarily be just a sure thing that you pick Juju Watkins as the number one pick in
Yeah,
the WNBA draft that year. She may
yeah.
have something to say about that.
It's been crazy to see that too, man. And like you said, I feel like what I've noticed too is how they kind of frustrated, Paige Becker. They basically, whenever she got the ball, they crowded her, man. They didn't really give her no space. And I was like, okay, sometimes, like you said, it worked. Sometimes it wasn't. We knew that she was going to get hers. But then, like you said, Notre Dame was like, can we at least maintain her enough to where everybody else got to chip in? And if we could basically keep them at bay, then that'll be what we can do to try to pull off this victory. But like you said, man, it was just a lot of good, play from Olivia Miles too, and Hannah, and how they actually executed. But then, Ivy gonna always have a good game plan, man. And I give her credit where credit is due for actually having a team as good as they are. We talked about them last year, and we were saying, man, when Olivia Miles come back, man, it's even gonna be worse, man. And yeah, we starting to see that now, but it was a blessing in disguise though that she got hurt last year. And I mean, nobody wish nobody being hurt. But then we finally seen what Hannah and Doggo got in her, man. So and now them two together, yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun to watch this season.
Not to mention, it seems like Olivia Miles definitely concentrated on her shooting more while she was out because she's definitely a much better 3-point shooter now than she was
Absolutely.
previous to her being hurt. And keep in mind, UConn, USC, just a couple of several great teams right now for people to check out. Unfortunately, part of the problem we're having is that a lot of the best teams not necessarily playing a lot of the best teams right now
Not
on
at
the
all.
women's side. You do see a lot more of that on the men's side with the better playing the better. That's why you're seeing, particularly these last couple weeks, a lot, and I do mean a lot of blowouts. Like that one we got last Sunday when Tennessee broke a record by hitting 33s in a game. Did you see that, you?
Man, I couldn't believe that score, man. At first, I was like, "This is a glitch, man. Ain't no way in hell." And then I went back and looked at the highlights, and I said, "Damn, who he
131
playing?"
points in a college basketball game is crazy.
That was bad, man. Yeah.
Remember, they play 40 minutes, people.
And the crazy part about it too is, man, we starting to notice that now, man. We starting to get really bad games, and I've been seeing it too, man. As far as when I be trying to put the reports up on the sports page, that a lot of times you might get some ranked teams, but they'll play somebody who's not ranked, and then you get a full night of non-ranked teams playing, and I'm like, damn, what's going on? Come on, y'all. Y'all have to do better with the scheduling, and it ain't like you said. It's not that much as that way in men, but it is in the women's side.
And again, it's not all the teams, teams like a South Carolina, like a UConn, like a Notre Dame, they scheduling some of the big players on that. Like I said, Notre Dame, look at who they played already. They already played Tennessee. They already played USC. They already played UConn. They got South Carolina on the schedule, I do believe. So
Yeah, I'm
they
looking at
playing the
that.
good games. We got another great game coming up this weekend, y'all. We got UConn, USC. What's your thoughts on that, Hugh?
Good one, man. I think that, like I said, man, I do like USC and I like the girls, and they got a lot of talent around Juju. But if UConn can play like they played yesterday, man, it's going to be rough for any team. So I'm hoping that the players who stepped up in the guard play, just Paige, because Paige going to get hers, but y'all need to get y'all too. Y'all need to contribute and make
Paige
it to
gonna
the
get
point
hers.
where they
Junior
don't
gonna
make it
get
so
hers. Absolutely.
easy to try to double team and try to put all their focus on Page, man. If they do, you got to make them pay. And if they could do that, I definitely feel like they can, get USC. But if they still have those problems like they did and couldn't adjust in the game with North Carolina, I said North Carolina, Notre Dame, it's going to be a long day. But I definitely feel like that all they got to do is just be prepared. And if they can go in and they can play, and when they play USC, if they can play them at that high caliber like they did against Iowa State, I think that they'll be able to come out with the win.
Okay, let me backspace and then jump forward. Backspace. Yesterday's game, UConn versus Iowa State. You got to give credit to that kid, Artie Crooks. She is a force in the post.
Oh yeah, I
Basically,
think
she gets it down low. You ain't doing nothing with that. I don't too much care who you are.
she got fatigued though, man. You could tell they wore her out yesterday.
I mean, that's basically the game plan with
Mhm.
Iowa State. You got to make her work on both ends of the floor, and that's what UConn did a very good job of doing yesterday. Because keep in mind, half the time she was checking Sarah Strong, and that was not a good guard for her at all. Because she definitely gonna be an X factor in that USC game.
Oh yeah, she definitely gonna, get hers in the post, man. She's just phenomenal, man. She can handle the ball, she can shoot the outside shot, and she can give you the business in the inside, man. I actually hated to see when you gave me that video last year, man. When I seen her going to work when she was in high school, and they said that she was coming to UConn. I wasn't too happy about that, man. But I already knew what was coming.
Yeah, and then not to mention the fact she a hell of a defender on top of all of that.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be a good one. I'm definitely gonna check that one out, man. I'm all in, and I just hope that they have more high caliber games like that too in the women's. Because after we get a game like that, it'll be like just no ranked teams play, and that's just brutal when you see those schedules.
Right, because of course, by the time we get back from vacay, we'll be in conference play, and that'll kind of resolve some of that issue. Because the SEC definitely gonna be tough this year for the men and
Absolutely.
the women, for that matter. And the Big Ten gonna be the show and prove for both sides, the men and women's basketball. Because there's a lot of good teams, particularly on the women. When you look at USC, UCLA, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State. All those teams are like top 25 ranked teams.
Yeah,
Iowa got a good team. Indiana, Ohio State. It's a lot of good teams in that Big Ten this year.
people better not slip on Maryland, man. I saw Maryland, man, and all I can do is smile, and I was like, X2 would be proud, man, because yeah,
Absolutely.
Maryland looking
Shout out
real
to the
good
great
right now, man.
Helena Hologram. She
On
definitely will
both
be proud
ends
of her
too,
Maryland
man. The
career.
Baltimore Orioles was looking good after we made fun of them a few years ago. Now you got Maryland, looking good in the basketball side of things. Yeah, man, they stepping their game up.
Absolutely. Of course, he wouldn't have been too happy about his doggone Cowboys. Oh my God.
Oh man, yeah, that's
We'll
a
get to them a
whole
little bit
story.
later. But yeah, definitely again, y'all. A lot of these games that we talking about, they will be nationally televised, so you'll be able to check them out. And if not, I always suggest you go on YouTube and check out the highlights, so you can at least check out the highlights. If I remember during the show when we actually broadcast this live, I'll put the link to the highlights to that Notre Dame UConn game and to the UConn Iowa State game from last night. If y'all want to check it out later.
I'm going to brush a little bit on baseball. Not really too much going on, but I was still to the point where I was relieved, like we talked about before, that the Yankees didn't pay that money. They were going to, but by them not doing that, they were able to get some need filled. Like they got Devin Williams. He's a all star. They ended up getting Max Fried, which I thought would be a good addition to the team. But the most important, just recently they fill one of those voids. They still got some voice they need to fill at first and third to me, but to get Cody Bellinger, man, that was a huge move. What are your thoughts?
Well, last year during the Winter League meetings and all of that, the big talk of the town was basically what the Dodgers did and all the moves they made. And you see how well it worked out for them in the end.
Yes, sir. Champions.
It helped lead them to a World Series. It seemed like this year it's the Yankees that's making most of the big moves so far. And will that lead to them getting back to the World Series? Perhaps, perhaps not. I still say, based on what we've seen thus far, the Dodgers still gonna be the team to beat again next year.
Pretty
But
much.
if you want to move to that next level, it seems like the move is to spend you some money,
That's
get
all
the
it
big
is. Man.
dog.
That
And
money counts.
some teams they just not able to do it because they small market and it is what it is. And some teams they can do it, just ain't willing to do it. So if more of these teams end up being the teams we see in the World Series, sooner or later, we're going to have to come to some decisions in baseball. They talk about expanding NFL and WNBA and whatnot. I think we might get to the point in baseball where we start taking away teams.
And you know what's crazy too, because on one of the teams right now who's talking about selling major is the San Diego Padres. If you didn't hear, man, they talking about trying to trade off some of their players because that salary cap got too big for them to handle.
Well, we pretty much had established that a couple years ago, Hugh, that we thought that would be the case.
Yeah. And after 2 years too, it didn't work out, man. Not like they thought that it would. So yeah, it's time for them to hit that reset button, man. I have one more question in baseball, man. Where do you think Pete Alonso will land?
I myself say that, much like most of the big players of his ilk, he's going to end up with one of the teams with the money. We all know who those teams are by now: Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Red Sox. Primarily those four. So my guess is he's in one of those four places, unless somebody decides, look, we want an anchor player for our squad to put us on the map. Let's put all our chips forward and put all our money in the Pete Alonso bag. Understanding that Pete Alonso knows his brand well enough to know that you definitely want to go to a team where you're going to hit in the ballpark that's going to be conducive to you hitting a lot of home runs. So sorry to teams like my Tigers, probably not coming to Comerica Park. Sorry. Even though he's more powerful enough to hit him wherever he go, but more than likely, not only is he going to one of those teams with the money, but most of those teams that I brought up with the money, they also have ballparks conducive to hitting a lot of home runs. You put that dude in Fenway Park, my.
That'd be crazy. And then,
Right.
man, they've been doing some pretty good moves too in Boston, man. It seems like, don't you notice, Boston will go to sleep on you for like 3, 4, maybe 5 years, and then they be like, hey, we ready to compete again. If they compete that year, then that's good. But most times after that year, man, they just start selling off their players. Like what happened with one of their players who won another championship on Mr. Mookie Betts.
Right. Like I said, don't sleep on Boston because pretty much all the major free agents that's left out on the market, their name is pretty much being attached to pretty much all of them. So
Mm-hmm.
they're bound to make at least a couple of these moves.
We gonna jump into the NFL. If you want, we could go to a commercial break. But then, yeah, man, I wanted to start off with some of the crazy things that happened in the league, and then we can talk about the games and the scores.
Okay, before we do that, let me throw in a quick item up for bid. What's your thought on the latest boxing exhibition to be set up, where it appears that the one they called Logan Paul is going to fight the one and only Conor McGregor in India, no less?
Not really looking forward to it, man. I think those are a joke. I definitely don't want to invest my money and time in that, man. The one good thing about it is Connor is still kind of younger, and he's on the younger side. A lot of the guys that he was fighting was way past their prime. Sorry, Mike, but still, man. That's the one good thing I can say about it. At least Conor McGregor's young, man. But I really don't too much care about those exhibitions, man. I think there's a big joke and a spit in the face of professional boxing.
Well, understand, I think we get this one for two reasons. One, the person that's basically promoting the fight and paying for everybody in India, he is mega super rich. He's one of those people that you hear about, like in the Saudi Arabias and the Dubai's of the world that decide we're bored. Let's put this big ass money out here and let's get Beyonce to sing or these two guys to fight or so on and so forth. And they throw such a ridiculous amount of money out there, you do it. Apparently that's the case in this one. Both these guys gonna get paid several millions. So even if the pay-per-view don't do that great, they still gonna get their money. Okay. In terms of the quality of boxing we gonna see, come on. Y'all seen that last Logan Paul fight, right?
That
His
was
brother Jake definitely the better fighter of the two. And McGregor, he ain't been in the ring fighting boxing since that fateful day with
Floyd Mayweather.
exactly. And that was what, about 7 years ago?
Yeah, it was a nice little
So if
night.
you're looking for a quality event, probably not gonna get that. But you already know that the trash talking level should be elite.
Oh,
But
hi,
both of them, they both talk they ish pretty good.
and you know,
But yeah,
um,
it's sad that we at this point, because think about it, Hugh, the only reason why these are even remotely something we will entertain is because in this day and age of boxing, the best fighters ain't trying to fight each other.
yeah, unfortunately, their
You
brother
know,
risked losing
grew up
their
in a time
belts.
where all the best fighters fought each other. So it's hard to see this now.
Yeah, that's how bad it is now, man. They'd rather just give up their belt than fight somebody or to compete on a high level. So yeah, man, they really fell from grace, man, because it seems like boxing just fell and then the UFC kind of took over, and that's all
Yep,
you
and,
really hear
and
about.
again, I ain't too much pressed for either one of them to be honest. So that's that. But anyway, we will hit the commercial break. When we come back, it's time to do what we do. Talk that football, y'all. This is the Guru Sports Session. No longer that other thing. My bad. Okay, where them commercials at? We'll be back, y'all. Here it go. Here it go. Here it go.
Hold up, hold up. Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Ha, darling.
What up, y'all? We are back. This is the Guru Sports Session. I am your co-host Ebug. That's the host right there, Hugh Lee. We talking that sports and right now, good friends. It is time for y'all favorite segment of the show when we talk that thing that we call NFL football. Hooray! Without further ado, we have the myth, the man, the legend ready to get it kicked off. Hugh Lee, let's go.
Hey man, it's something we've been talking about, man, and it's been crazy. We definitely had to get it out there before we even really start getting to the stores and everything to the game. We probably still brush up on it a little bit more once that game comes around, but Devondre Campbell, man, told Kyle Shanahan in the third quarter when they told him to get back in and they wanted him to play that he didn't want to play anymore, man. And he didn't throw in the towel. He walked off with the towel on and just was like a kid, who didn't get their way playing and just took their football and ran. What was your thoughts on him quitting on his team like that in the third quarter? After the linebackers got hurt as well, man. You had Dre Greenlaw who got banged up, and they couldn't. I guess they looked at it like for safety measures, let's just keep him out. And the other guy got banged up as well. Two of your linebackers get hurt, and then you asked him to go in, and I guess he was pouting about his game time or how much he played, and walked off.
Man, okay. As a person who has played team sports before, you got to have the obvious reaction. Biatch! You pumpkin biatch! You quit on me? Because as a person on that team, that's got to be how you felt. Damn what you did, making it seem like you quit on the team. You quit on the team. Ain't no way on earth I'm trying to play with you ever again after you pull that move, okay? It is probably the worst thing as a football player you could do to another football player outside of maybe spitting on them. And in the NFL, we've seen stuff that diabolical happen too. But that being said, my brother Hugh Lee does talk about this in his Sports Guru's perspective this week that we did post on the network for those of you who might be looking to watch that later on. But we'll also put the link for that here later on as well. But in that, he actually talked about he hadn't seen anything quite so crazy like this in the NFL outside of one incident. How could you forget about one that was even worse than that, Hugh? Remember a few years ago when that dude Antonio Brown walked out in the middle of the game, took off uniform and all, threw up the middle finger, the whole deal, and left the building and emptied his locker and the whole shebang bang and would not talk to nobody about nothing. That I felt was worse than this, but not by much.
And what's so crazy about that too? The reason I didn't really bring that up, man, because I lost all respect in that dude, man, for what Tom done for him and how he brought him along on the team, gave this dude a house to live in, and then we heard the situation about people think that he messed around with his wife. It's so much wild stuff that went on in that situation, man. I just really felt like when he did that, we already knew that it was him crying for help, but we knew that that was his last stint in the NFL. But what I was more disappointed with, is like how Vontae Davis did that towards halftime. Man, you basically quit on your team at halftime, got in the ride and left before the game even kicked back off. And in this case, I was just surprised that he did that because this is the second time he did this within a couple of years. Because he did the same thing to Green Bay, if you don't remember.
I do not recall that, but the bottom line is this. If you had any type of mental distress or anything like that that was on your mind that day, and you came back the next day and explained that's why you did what you did, this being a forgiving society, clearly we are, I think that would have been enough to get back in their good graces eventually. But the fact that we seen what it looked like and you haven't done anything to correct what we think about what you did, that let us know you quit. And I don't know about you, but if I am an NFL owner on any other team, I don't care how bad we bad off for players right now, like my Detroit Lions, for instance. You not what I'm bringing in to help
No,
at
no.
all. I can't afford to smurf with you like that. No, sir.
That's so bad too to have that happen on that level because to hear the players talk about it afterwards, man, they were pissed. We heard from a few guys, and then George Kittle was like that was immature and unprofessional, and even my man's what's my man's name? Diamador Lenore. It was like a lot of them talked about it, man, and they was just really like, man, if you gave up on us, man, we don't even care. We don't even want you around, man. Kick rocks, But I just feel like that's disgraceful, man. But yeah, that was the end of his NFL career because, like I said, he did it already, and it was like a year before he did that to Green Bay, and then you turn around and do it to the San Francisco 49ers team too, man, who gave you a chance after what you did. Yeah, man, I think his chances ran out after that.
And I know some people don't understand why they didn't just kick him off the team right then and there. Remember, the way these contracts are set up sometimes, you can't just up and get rid of folks because if you do it a certain way, you got to pay them. And I don't know about you, Hugh, but if it was my money, I wouldn't want to pay that brother another dime if I could help it.
Not
So
one.
that's why he is suspended for these last 3 games and not just out and out released because apparently, despite what we may think, they did get calls inquiring about his availability. So that's why they went this route with it. Because apparently there was some teams that still was willing to give that dude a chance. And we say he might be done in the NFL, but
You never know. You never know.
never know.
I'm thinking, man, he did that twice. Well, I wouldn't even want to consider getting him.
I wouldn't touch dude with a 10-foot pole, flat out.
Other teams might still have interest, man. You never know. He might have a coordinator or a defensive coordinator he worked with, defensive line coach. You never know,
A couple
man.
friends on another squad, who knows?
Who knows what that brother was thinking when he did that silly move, man?
He wasn't.
I want to talk about too something that we talked about that was funny because it escalated real fast. I just before we even put it on the show yesterday, I looked up and then seen the aftermath of the whole situation. Coach Raheem Morris decided to bench Kirk Cousins and go with my man's Michael Penix, and we kind of figured we was looking for this moment. We thought it was too little, too late when they did it, but we thought that they were going to do it 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and he just threw all them interceptions. I think within like 2 weeks, he threw like 7 interceptions. He had a 4 game where he threw interception, then turned around and had another 3 games. The 2 of them was like with pick sixes too. Yeah, it was something going on, man, and I just never really believed in Kirk Cousins like some of these other dudes, man. And I feel like whoever his agent is, man, he the real MVP because Kirk Cousins has robbed us for years.
So you say what happened?
That dude is a crook, Kirk Cousins.
So you say they basically benched him?
Yeah. Yeah, he deserved it though. You know, and I know that.
I mean, in the end, it's very hard for me to feel bad for a person like Kirk Cousins. That dude that made some $300 million
He made more
playing
than
quarterback in the
what
National Football League, and that's as of the moment. That ain't counting whatever else he might make. So even if he don't play another game the rest of his life, he's still set for the rest of his life.
I remember I
And
told
what
him.
did he have to show for it? He ain't got no rings. That's for damn sure.
Remember I
That
told
being
you
said,
what happened to with the 27.5 million they still owe him next year.
well, apparently there's ways around that from what they're talking about, but I'll let the money people discuss that. Nonetheless, Michael Penix Jr., it's your time, bro. Let's see what you got, kid. Let's see what you got. And of course, that's not the only team that decided that they was kind of done with what was going on in their quarterback room. Talk about that, Hugh.
Dorian Thompson Robinson, man, he finally got to the point where I was surprised they waited this long too because we started to see Jamison like 3 weeks ago, man. He just started throwing so many interceptions, and it just got to the point where it reminded you of the same old, Jameis Winston in Tampa, and they just had enough, man. They went ahead and they benched him, and they're going with DTR now. And I think it was a good move, but then the sad part is he not only is Jameis Winston done, but I still feel like that. Of course, I know this is the last we're gonna see of Kirk Cousins in Atlanta too. I don't think that he'll be back after the end of especially at the end of March. I don't think that they'll re-sign him and he'll be off that roster.
Could it be a scenario where he pops up in Cleveland?
Man,
Wouldn't that be crazy?
I wouldn't be surprised.
It wouldn't surprise me either. But yeah, I think this is the end of the road for Jameis in terms of his football life. I'd be very surprised if anybody picked him up even to be a backup next year. Um, Again, he's only what 30, 31 years old.
Mhm.
I think he probably got other options out there. Perhaps he'd go to Teddy Bridgewater route. I think it's quite a few quarterbacks that might be looking to do that in the future, considering how well it worked out for Teddy. Want to congratulate him on being a first time head coach and already winning a state championship. That was very impressive. What was your thoughts, Hugh?
I thought that was really good, man. The more shocker thing of it all, once he did that, man, I think he had that urge in him still, man, and he wanted to try to make a comeback to the NFL. So, yeah, I really felt like that was good for him to coach and to get that championship. But the shocker was that he decided, yeah, let me go back and give it another shot in the NFL before I call it a quits.
Yeah, when all is said and done, we know Teddy Bridgewater, he a quality dude, and I'm just happy that he made it happen, and whatever he chooses to do in his future, I'm with it.
Yeah, definitely, man. He's a stand-up dude. What was best for him, man? I'm definitely happy that he won that championship too, man. But
Right. That being said, Cleveland is a dumpster fire right now.
yeah,
I still say during the trade deadline they should have cut some of them folks loose and
they should have let some of them guys go to other teams, like
right.
you said, man. I know they said the Miles Garrett wasn't going nowhere, but there was a lot of guys they could have cleared some of that side of the cap with, man, because we knew they wasn't going anywhere. So I was just really surprised that they kept a lot of guys on the roster, man. And yeah, they're in the situation they're in right now, but then they can't blame nobody but themselves, man. They signed that crazy contract with Deshaun Watson first and foremost, and then to be in the situation they're in. Unfortunately, I think Kevin Stefanski might be gone after this year.
I know people like Zadarius Smith and Amari Cooper, they very happy right now, considering
Oh,
how it worked out for them.
absolutely. Man, now before we really get up into the NFL and talk about the games and the aftermath on some of the games, I want to talk about the American game, man, that Army Navy game. What are your thoughts on that game?
My thoughts is I have to come on here and clear the screen and do what I gotta do. So let me do that for a second. Okay, y'all. Yep, you know what it was. Not only did I pick Army to beat Navy, I basically last week said that Army should be in the college playoff. Okay, in the ideal world, considering how that game worked out, where Army got they butt whooped, I should be taking that back. I'm not. I'm not. I still say Army should have been in the playoff. Navy is a very good football team. They came with a plan. Remember, Navy is probably better prepared to play Army than any other team in the country because of the fact that they play each other every year and they basically study them, much like Michigan with Ohio State and vice versa. That's one of the games that both of those teams look forward to playing every year. So there was that. I am disappointed in the play of the quarterback for Army. After all that stuff I talked about him being Captain America and all that, he did not show up and show out. Navy's quarterback, on the other hand, most definitely did. So I have to give credit where credit is due, Hugh Lee. You called it. I was wrong on that one. But again, I still say if you had Army in this playoff, it's at least 3 or 4 teams that would not beat Army. That being said, back to you, Hugh.
Yeah, man. What I looked at was, like you said, the one reason I looked at it, I said, man, this is more of a rivalry game than any other rivalry game. And like you said, they pulled out a lot of stops. It wasn't like they did like some man. We ain't even in the NFL yet, but they did a lot of damn camel type stuff, man. They did a lot of risk, like when they had the nose tackle, man, do the fake punt, and it was a lot of trick and gadget plays that they did to kind of get Army off guard. But that's why I believe why them pulling out all the stops like that and being over aggressive with the run and pass game, that's what helped them go to, that next level, elevated them to beat Army, man. I just felt like Army just thought that they were just going, go in there and then put their dominance on them and just be that hard nosed team that we've been seeing all year. But then it was a lot of trick plays and a lot of things that Navy had up their sleeve and saying, okay, we're going to try to do this. And if we're in this situation, we're going to do this as well. I just felt like they were more well prepared to figure if this don't work, then we're going to try this. They had a game A, B, C, and D, while Army just stayed the course. And that's what I think the reason why they ended up losing that game.
They did play it way too conservative. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on.
All righty. You already know what time it is, man. We about to start off and we about to go into the NFL and the Week 15 games.
All right, people. Now remember, if you watched NFL last week, we did have a few good games. We had a lot of clunkers. Let's react accordingly. Let's go.
One of them clunkers was the Thursday night game. Damn, it reminded me of the old school prime games where we be like, man, this is the worst thing that they could have did to football, man. It was unfortunate because of the weather, though, that affected most of this play because having a team like the Rams versus 49ers, it seems like the Rams usually always had their number. And this time it stayed the same, man. It was real rainy and it was poor conditions. And it wasn't even a touchdown in the game, man. So, that was pretty historic coming from Matthew Stafford and some of the high-powered offenses in the league. And that final score was funky, too. It was like 12-6.
I blame the NFL for this. The way they have gameplay set up right now, where pretty much, particularly this time of year, you get a game down there any day of the week. For people that like to watch football like a Hugh Lee, I understand you may love that. You mentioned that several times in your perspective that you couldn't wait for this weekend. But you do got to understand, bruh, that when we get it to where players are used to a certain schedule every week, that they need not only to kind of help them get over whatever pains and swelling that they had the week before and get into next week's play, when you drastically change that from week to week, I believe that's why we've seen a lot more of these injuries that's being caused overall in the league. And it's making for games like this where, even though the weather was crap, think about them two teams. A lot of players out on them two teams, particularly in San Francisco. If you had everybody that could have playing, it would have been a way better game. So I keep in mind, we're going to get a lot of stinkers these next couple weeks. I'm just saying.
How did you feel too, E-Man, on top of all that, man? I heard a lot of the rambling from Debo, how he was complaining and being a diva and saying he wasn't getting the ball like he should. But then when they gave him the opportunity to shine and put the ball in his hand, he got booed, man. It was clearly a slant that he could have took to the house, man. And
Come on, man. You reading too much into it. You know what it is. He won out.
He gonna be out. It ain't like who wants someone in San Francisco right now when he ain't playing well. He's been having the droppies all year, honestly. And I've clearly seen Brandon Ayuk being out was totally different ball game now. It's totally different with him out. I think with Debo, sometimes they survive without him, but now I think that he's starting to get to the point where, like you said, man, he's just not happy to be there. He want to find somewhere else he can be.
He just finishing the string. This time next year, he won't be in San Francisco. We know.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he's gonna be on the move this coming next season.
Perfect team for him to go to, by the way, the Chargers.
Yeah, they definitely need wide receiver help.
Particularly one that could run at running back. I think that's right up Harbaugh's alley.
Yeah, I want to get the a little bit of the sting, not a lot, just a little bit of sting out of my off my chest, man. I want to go right into the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions game.
Why not? That was actually one of the good games this week.
Very good game, man. At first, I was pretty disappointed how far they went behind. They were down like at 3 touchdowns at one point. And for them to come back the way they did, a lot of people question Dan Campbell and the onside kick, but we know him, man. That's what he do, man. If he feel like we can get a chance or if he can steal the possession, he's going to do that. He's seen it from Sean Payton. Sean Payton did some of those tactics in the Super Bowl to beat the Colts, so he learned from one of the best. So when it happened, when he do well, everybody, oh man, he a genius. And when it don't work to our advantage, everybody want to slander him. So I looked at it and I said, if we could have cleaned up that play and or if my man's Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't fumble, that was like 2 instant, areas where they was in the red zone, man. We'd probably be having a different conversation, even with all the injuries, man. If we suffer 4 in that game, honestly.
That's bullshit, and you know it, man. That ain't what happened this game. What happened was it's that one dude. That one dude changed the complexity of this entire game. That dude I'm talking about, we talking about the quarterback, okay? The quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, that brother right there, damn what his name is. On Sunday, I called him Superman because he did things that maybe one or two other quarterbacks in the league could possibly do. And with him playing on that level, wasn't no team beating him. And right now, if they continue to play like that, they're gonna be a hard team for anybody to beat. The only
Even your
reason why,
hometown team, the Kansas City Chiefs, couldn't beat him.
and they didn't, understanding that when he go back to scramble, that ain't nobody you just pull down like basic quarterback. Hey, okay, that man is all of 6'5", 245 pounds. He is a huge human being, okay, and it ain't fat, it's muscle. And then on top of that, dude can run. So you look to go on and sack him. You know what? This time I'm just going to run for about 25, 30 yards. You look to sack him. You know what? My arm's so strong, I'm just going to throw against my body about 30 yards and still make the play. With people making plays like that and your defense is already trashed with injuries and whatnot, it's a miracle it wasn't more of a blowout than it could have been.
The issue in that game too is like, man, like you said, we have problems with running quarterbacks, man, especially
Scrambling
against big
quarterbacks,
men like
absolutely.
him as well. But I didn't lose no sleep over that game, man. A lot of people looking at it like it's the end of the world, man. After winning
You already
11
know when
straight,
we went into the season, we was thinking this was one of the games the Lions was not going to win.
and then 11 straight too today, and I still feel like it was a couple of things here and there that they could have cleaned up that made it a more of even closer game, like I said. But when you play that many games and win that many games in a row, man, it's about that time. And then I
It,
like what Dan Campbell said because he said, you know, we won and we was on high, and they started. Some of the people started leaving the hype. Now you get that reality check in the season. I'd rather them get that reality check now than to go in the playoffs and then get punched in the mouth. So I feel like right now they just need to lick their wounds, get their adjustments, man, and just try to get the healthiest product we could out there.
dude, you were not very smart if you thought this Lions team with all those injuries was going to mess around and be 16-1. You could not believe that for real. It's
No.
crazy what a
He,
difference a few years they made. Understand, Lions fans from 3 years ago, think about how happy you would be right now if you still had that mindset. 12 wins are the most wins that any Lions team has ever won. So if we win one more game, that would be the best record the Lions have ever had in a regular season. Can we be happy with that, first of all?
I was surprised they squeaked out that Thursday night game against Green Bay.
The Lions have not made back-to-back playoffs in almost 50 years. Let us be thankful for what we got right now, shall we?
And
Considering everything.
we was talking about too recently, like, man, even when we was talking about this is when they was healthy too, man. That even if they don't go all the way to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, man, they set a window right now, man, with the players and the personnel and the people they're getting from the draft. They might get some free agents or who knows, man. But they set themselves up to where you got the teams like Kansas City's getting older, man. We don't know what's gonna happen with Travis Kelsey yet. San Francisco's getting older, and that whole team gonna be turned over. And it's like we still got our little window right now. So yeah, man, I just feel like win or lose this year, man, we should, like you said, we should just be thankful for what we
And,
did.
and, and, and like I said, y'all already know how we called it. I expect the Lions to make the Super Bowl. I did not expect them to win it. Right now, based on where we at, it's going to be extremely difficult to get to that point. It's still in the realm of possibility. It just ain't going to be an easy route, okay?
Absolutely.
That being said, this week shouldn't be too much of an issue, but moving forward, we got to just work with what we got, man.
Yeah, gotta work with what we have, man. And definitely can't complain about it. I still like the way the game ended because them dudes fought all the way until they had triple zeros, man. And it was 48-42 was the final score. Um, Don't really want to talk about this game, but I'm gonna talk about it for 1 minute.
I need you to no longer do that. Whatever game you're gonna bring up, bring up. We're gonna talk about the 2 seconds, 200 minutes, whatever it is, bring them up.
I want to talk about Lamar Jackson before you interrupted me. I still feel like that guy is one of the MVPs right now, man, with the 290 yards and 5 touchdowns. But that being said, it's not really too much to talk about with this game when you see who they play.
I don't even know why you even bring up numbers in games where you play the Giants and the Giants didn't already quit on the season. That was a practice squad game, and we know it. Come on now.
The weirdest game to me was how the Commanders, man, seemed like they let the Saints almost pull that game out, man. And I have more higher hopes than the Commanders than I thought that they even did that game because they almost let that game slip away, unfortunately.
Well, all wins ain't always pretty in the NFL, but the win is the win. Again, the Commanders, we already know they're ahead of the schedule at this point. They weren't supposed to be a playoff team this year. We know that. So the fact that they even at this level, you got to give credit to that coaching staff and definitely to the offensive coordinator, Mr. Kingsbury, who basically revitalized his career. We see now, no, you shouldn't have been no head coach. You should have been the offensive coordinator all along.
Yeah.
Think about how well he's done for that team as opposed to another team we're going to talk about and how bad their offense looked.
I'm gonna talk about this game briefly too, with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Browns. The reason why, because at the very end of the game, it was still kind of close. But then when they tackled Patrick Mahomes, it was ugly. It was like one guy hit him from the bottom, and then the other guy hit him, and he kind of folded, and he left out the game. And then they put in my man Carson Wentz. Now they're still talking about it to this day, and I think he's at practice, but I'm not sure. They're saying he week to week, so it's going to be pretty hard, man, because they got to play, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday, and then he got to turn around and do the whole Wednesday thing, and that's what he was really pissed off about. So I'm pretty interested in. I'm going to keep an eye out and see what he's going to do.
Again, going back to that schedule thing,
That's funky.
it's stupid that they basically set this up in a way where you play on Sunday and then again on Wednesday. They had to work around that a little better. I understand you want to take full advantage and get the Christmas money and all that, but come on now, it wasn't no way you could basically give that team some type of bye or had them play earlier or had them play the Thursday game. And it definitely was a better way to work that.
I agree. I think that'd have been better if
But that being said, this Patrick Mahomes, okay, the face of the league, one of the few people who basically can say, I understand I got this walking boot on, but I'm playing. And you don't tell him no. You let him play. So according to what Andy Reid said yesterday, if Patrick comes in and say he could play, he gonna play. Flat out. That being said, should he play? Hell no. Not against that Houston defense where you already in trouble because that offensive line is getting worse and worse every week. That dude at left tackle, whoever they put at left tackle, they getting toasted every week now. So you got to scramble for your life just to make stuff happen. If you can't scramble on that bad leg, you shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, he can only make matters worse for them, man, and ruin their Super Bowl chances if possible.
Because again, we already know without Patrick Mahomes, they ain't winning nobody's Super Bowl.
Houston Texans and the Miami Dolphins. This spells the end for the Dolphins, man, and this is to the point where it's so bad now. I don't know if I sent you the news, but I don't know if you got it or not. They released Calais Campbell because they felt like they wanted to do right by him to try to catch on with a contender.
Well, don't be surprised if we see that dude pop up here sometime soon. It was talked about us possibly getting him to begin with. And at the rate our injury situation going, it only makes sense to make that move. But yeah, again, another bad game that week. Not much to say on that one. Miami definitely trending down. Houston, they made the playoffs. Congrats to them, but based on what their offensive line situation looking like, I don't think they're gonna get very far in this year's playoff. Not against the team they'll have to play.
Yeah, I'm only going to talk about another 3 games, man, and we can go on to
Come on with it.
Week 16. Buccaneers and Chargers, man. I wasn't really surprised with this game, but a little bit more surprised with how the score went, man, because Baker Mayfield, they manhandled them dudes, man. And to see that final score, 40-17, that was kind of shocking, but he threw them 4 touchdowns on him, and Mike Evans had one of the best games he had in a long time. So, yeah, I didn't expect a blowout like that, but was expecting that they were going to pull that victory off.
Man, let me say this in the microphone. Baker Mayfield, that boy bad. I love that segment on ESPN, by the way. Shout out to Hugh Douglas. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, if there was an award you can give for just having guts and being that dude for this season without necessarily being an MVP, I would give that to Baker Mayfield because they didn't pay him, and clearly he didn't got underpaid because
Oh, absolutely.
that dude showing up and showing out. Remember, once upon a time, he was done. He
Mm-hmm.
was toast, man. He was the
I don't know.
backup with the Rams. Look at that brother now. Can't be nothing but happy for that dude Baker, man. If my team don't make it, if the family team don't make it, I want the Bucks to make it. That's how much I like that dude.
Crazy thing is with him too, man. It's like remember, he really started to get more notice when he came in on a short week and won that game with the Rams, and then
Mhm.
that's when he got his shot over there with the Bucks, and he haven't looked back, man. So congratulations to Baker. Let's talk about the Battle of Pennsylvania, man. That game basically had me looking and saying, "Yeah, man, maybe I thought too high of the Steelers, even though George Pickens was out, but I still don't really feel like that mattered, man. Philly went and just dominated in that game.
No, it ain't that you thought too high of the Steelers. You ain't give enough credit to Philadelphia. That team for real. Yeah, that's the one team I know I ain't trying to see the Lions see in the playoffs because based on how well they playing on both sides of the ball right now,
Absolutely.
and they don't have the injury issues that we have. Yeah, I don't like our chances with them right now. They looking real good. They clicking. And all that foolishness that went on last week with the whole, he don't like me. It's the offense. Apparently, they didn't put all that aside, at least for the time being. And
Yeah,
then
they
to
done
say,
made
now,
him.
let's see what happens the week where AJ Brown don't get the ball quite as much. Let's see if he still got that same energy. But for
Yeah,
the time being, it looked real good. And again, I definitely want Saquon to get that record, man.
yeah, because that game was really good too. At first, it was close until it wasn't no more. That final score was 27-13, and Philly did everything I thought that they was going
Yeah,
to do
but
in
then
that
of
game.
course, again, some that we really didn't want to see in that game when our man's TJ Watt got hurt.
Yeah,
Bad
again,
news for Pittsburgh. They need that brother desperately.
they need him to move on, bro. Bottom line. I wanted to talk about the Green Bay and the Seahawks game. Now that one kind of surprised me
Speaking of
too.
injuries,
Yeah, because when Gino got hurt, my eyes got big and I said, "Damn, that's the end of the game," and that's exactly what it was, man. It didn't look good after that.
again, it's certain teams, if they quarterback have certain people get hurt on that squad, it's a whole different squad. That is the case with Seattle. Without Gino, they was not the same team. It made it real easy for Green Bay after that. Um, Seattle kind of on that verge of maybe making the playoffs. Without Gino being healthy,
Not looking
don't
good.
even waste your time. That being said, Green Bay's still a threat, but again, it all depends on how well you
Jordan
get
Love.
play from that dude, Jordan Love. If he
'Cause
plays and uses his decision making process wisely, they're a team to be working with. If basically he tries to play gunslinger and hero ball, they're a whole different ballgame.
yeah, that final score definitely wasn't close when Gino went out too. It was 30-13, and yeah, it's some problems for Seattle because they was looking good when everybody was healthy, especially the defense. And now Gino's hurt, man. I don't really see much from them right now
Right.
moving
And then
forward.
of course the two games we of course skipping the Monday night games. Both of them were crap. The Raiders they're done. The Bears also done.
Thank you for that, because I definitely wasn't. I really wasn't even gonna say that much, honestly. Um, we can move on now, and we can give the predictions for Week 16. Starting off with the
All right,
Thursday
hold on,
game.
hold on, hold on, hold on. We always want to give everybody a chance to get set up. These are predictions for the week, good people. If you want to add your predictions, keep in mind the way that we're set up here on the EB Mux, at least for the time being, is if you want to chime into the show, you got to go on the YouTube page, which is Eric Buckner, Nighthawk Network Detroit, and comment there. That's the only way we're gonna be able to see and post those comments right now until we figure out that part of the EB Mux system. So you go on your YouTube page, Eric Butternut, it'll be scrolling down here when we do it live, and you can chime in with who you think are going to win some of these games. That being said, let's have at it, Hugh. Lightning round, let's go.
All right, Thursday night game, Broncos Chargers.
I got Chargers.
I'm gonna go with the Broncos, and I'll take the 3 points that they have for the clip Chargers.
I got Chargers by a touchdown.
Texans Chiefs.
Well, it's hard to pick that game without knowing who's going to be quarterback for the Chiefs. If Mahomes is playing and is relatively healthy, I got the Chiefs. If he's not playing, I got to go with the Texans.
Yeah, if he ain't playing, I'm gonna take the Texans, and I'm gonna take the 3.5 points that they gave Kansas City. The rematch, Steelers at Ravens.
I got to go with the Ravens for the simple fact I think Lamar's still going for that third MVP. And in order to get that, he got to put it on the Steelers. Not to mention, them two teams hate each other. And TJ Watt probably will play, but won't be 100%. I got to go with them Ravens.
I'm going with the Raiders with the 6.5 points too. Lions and Bears.
You know I'm going with the Lions. Come on, the Bears is half this. Whatever the point spread is, I'm going with that too.
Rams and Jets.
Well, the Rams on fire right now. It's kind of hard to go against them, so I'm not going to. But it should be a close game if we can get the Aaron Rodgers we got last week.
Yeah, I'll take them too. Eagles and Commanders.
I'm going with the Eagles.
Yes, sir, and I'll take them 3 points too. Jesus. Vikings Seattle.
Well, everything considered, you kind of got to go with the Vikings, man.
Yeah, them other games were so ugly. I wasn't gonna say those.
Well, you got to, man. Go and get them out the way.
Giants Falcons.
Go Penix, go.
Yeah, I'm gonna take them with the 8.5. Chargers
I
Panthers.
can't take it. I don't know what we're looking at with Penix. I can't do that point spread.
Cardinals Panthers. My bad.
Well, I got to go with Kyler Murray and them boys.
Yep, me too. Browns Bengals.
It depends on what the weather is like that day, to be honest. From my understanding, it's going to be kind of cold, so that might make it a little closer than it should be. But yeah, I'm going with the Bengals.
Yep, yes, sir. I'll take them in the points. Titans and the Colts. That's why I was stunned seeing some of these games. It's pretty bad.
I'm just going to say I don't care who win that one. I really don't.
I go with the Colts on that one. The Vikings in Seattle, we picked that one.
Yeah.
The Patriots and Bills.
Ooh, that might get ugly.
I got the Bills with 14 points.
Bills might win that by double that.
The Jaguars and the Raiders. Yeah.
Pure filth. Pure filth.
I'm going to go with the Jags in this case.
The Raiders might mess around and win that game. Just because. I doubt it, though, because they're really trying to get that pick. So I got to go with the Jags.
49ers Dolphins.
Well, that is in Miami, right?
Yes, sir.
I got to go with them Dolphins then.
I go with the Dolphins and take them by a slight point spread, 1.5. Buccaneers and the Cowboys.
Ew. Yep. How about them Cowboys about to lose again?
I'll take that 4.5. I'm going to take 7 on that one. 4.5 my bad. Okay, and then the Monday night game is the Saints and Packers. Oh, my God.
What you say that game was?
The Saints and the Packers.
Man, where the flex at this week, man? Ain't no way we could have
Jesus.
flexed out into. Well, it ain't like you had much to flex into. But yeah, the Packers don't go ahead and put the monkey stomp on them by about 12 to 14 points.
That's bad, man. Well, that's all I basically have, man.
Yeah,
Anything you want to add, E?
yeah, well, thank God, y'all. If y'all ain't trying to see that, remember the way that the college basketball schedule is set up, and I kind of like that they've done this. Most of the men's games, the quality men's games, are on Saturday, and most of the quality women's games are on Sundays now. So if you ain't liking some of the football, we always want to encourage y'all to watch women's sports. So check that out. I want to say that no, actually, I think that game is Saturday, the USC UConn game. But I know it's another decent game on Sunday. I had to look it up again. I'll type that in the comments once we show this live. But beyond that, y'all, we want you to have a very good holiday. Spend some time with your family and friends. Watch your sports. Don't let it over upset you if your team loses or wins or whatever. Just remember, in the end, it's a game meant for our enjoyment, not meant to stress you out, okay? And of course, happy holiday to my brother Hugh over there. Not like I ain't gonna talk to him down there every day, but
Likewise,
say
man,
it
definitely, because I know this is a rough time of year for us, man. Certain situations, but right now, just blessed to be here, man. You know what I'm going through. I wasn't even myself earlier, man. I kind of got myself together, and like you said, man, I had to take your advice at this point. Don't stress, let God handle the rest. And once I started to do
Absolutely.
that, I started laughing and joking and being my regular self again. Because it's all going to work out. It's just my blessing's going to be slightly postponed.
Right. And like I said, I'm looking forward to my holiday break and whatnot. Hopefully you guys are liking the new platform we on. It looks like we're gonna go on and keep it for a while. We're gonna get with the production staff and figure out some of the stuff that we ain't figured out yet so we can get a even better look. I mean, I must admit, I'm liking the way it look, you.
I love it, man. It's so crisp, man. Like you don't
Even
res-
our commercials look better, like you said.
you don't respect it as much until like, of course, I be on YouTube all the time, E. So when I
Hmm.
was on YouTube and saw it, I was like, man, this look beautiful, man. So yeah, most times I be on there anyway, E. So like until we figure everything out, join us on YouTube, man. I usually have fun on that platform.
Yeah, because even tonight, like I said, it'll be showing, of course, on my Facebook page, but we'll probably share the YouTube page to all the other pages that we normally would have it on otherwise until we figure out the rest of it. But again, thank you. Usually at the end of the year, I like to give all the shout outs to all the people that really support the network. So allow us to do that for a minute. You,
Yeah,
first and foremost, not only a shout out, but prayers to our guy, Coach V. He had a major surgery a few days ago and is still recovering from that. Do know, Coach V, we love you, bruh. And
yes,
we
sir.
hope that you heal up soon and back doing those things you love, particularly coaching football. So definitely shout out to you. I also definitely got to shout out one of our most important supporters here at the network. That would be the great Nigito Simmons, known as Road to Stardom. Definitely shout out to you, Road. You know we love you.
Appreciate
Uh,
you,
any
bro.
other shout outs, Hugh?
Joe, he always showing us love, man. My boy Ruben. It's a lot of dudes and a lot of people that was actually watching the show that I didn't even know, so I was surprised with too. My homegirl Steph, a lot of me, man. That's why I've been trying to mingle and kick it with a lot more people, man, because I was shocked to hear some of the news, but definitely glad to hear from y'all, man. And much love, man. And hopefully we can keep bringing you the good product we've been bringing you, man. And this is our new platform.
Right. Definitely want to get another extra shout out, but I will save that till tomorrow when I do I Am Nighthawk for the last time this year. On the show, we basically going to talk about the more pertinent people of 2024. Let's put it that way, because not always all of them will be influential. So you already know, basically, if you lived in 2024 as we did, some of the people's names that was constantly in the news, those are the people we're going to talk about. And then, of course, do our end of the year as we do. So that being said, we're about to head up out of here. Thank you guys again for viewing the show. We appreciate you. Until we see y'all on the other side, which is 2025. You know what to do, Hugh. Throw up the fingers, my brother. Let me get the show thing going, and we out.